Well, hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Ashmit Kumar, and here are the headlines that we're tracking at this hour. A CNBC-TV18 exclusive, JPMorgan CEO Jamie Dimon says the optimism on India is completely justified. Estimates that the inclusion of Indian bonds in their EM index will enable additional inflows of around $25 billion into Indian equities. Cautions that the US should stop thinking of China as a 10-foot giant and negotiate better trade investments with India. ITC Sanjeev Puri says the hotel business demerger is on track with its 15-month timeline, adds that the business will be debt-free soon after the demerger is complete and significantly strengthen the group. Further says that the ITC will allocate more capital to grow its FMCG, paperboards and agri-businesses. That's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Stock markets closed flat after a range-bound session as losses in IT stocks offset gains in financial services. The National Stock Exchange proposes extending trading hours for equity derivatives with a special session between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Says this can eventually be extended to 11:55 p.m. SEBI to take a final call. Religare's largest shareholder, the Burman Family, hikes its stake in the company by 5%, announces an open offer worth 2,100 crore rupees to acquire a controlling stake. Says the move is in line with its vision to create a leading financial services platform. Commodity exchange MCX may completely cut its reliance on erstwhile promoter 63 Moon Technologies in running its trading platform soon. Sources say that after multiple delays, MCX's new platform, serviced by TCS, is set to go live from the 1st of October and that the final approval from SEBI is awaited. Large unlisted companies may be in for stricter regulations governing corporate governance and financial reporting. Sources say the Company Law Committee has started discussions and that new rules may include making quarterly statements mandatory. The Indian government is learned to be considering cancelling registration of OCI card holders involving in pro-Khalistan activities. The government maintains that Canada has not shared any evidence related to the killing of Nijjar so far, even as External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar is set to meet US Secretary of State Blinken in New York this week. A major setback for BJP in Tamil Nadu. AIADMK end all ties with the BJP following a controversial remark made by Tamil Nadu BJP chief K. Annamalai against former Tamil Nadu Chief Minister C.N. Annadurai. Hollywood writers strike a tentative deal with major studios. The deal could end the 5-month-long strike by Writers Guild of America. Members call the deal exceptional with meaningful gains and protections for writers. And India clinches 2 gold, 3 silver and 6 bronze medals at the Asian Games. India got its first gold medal in the men's 10-meter air rifle team event, while the women's cricket team beat Sri Lanka to bring home the 2nd gold medal. Well, let's begin with a quick look at the day's market action. A range-bound session saw Nifty and Sensex end the day flat. Losses in IT stocks, however, offset gains in financial services. Now, mid-cap index and the Nifty Bank outperformed the blue chips. Well, staying with the markets, the National Stock Exchange is planning to extend its trading hours for its futures and options segment from the current 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. The exchange has already submitted a proposal to the market regulator SEBI. The NSE is evaluating extending market hours for the F&O segment to 11:55 p.m., but in a phased manner. Well, moving on, here's the big exclusive interview. JPMorgan CEO Jamie Dimon says that the optimism on India is completely justified. He estimates that the inclusion of Indian bonds in their EM index will enable additional inflows of around $25 billion into India. He, however, cautioned that the US should stop thinking of China as a 10-foot giant and negotiate better trade investments with India.
I remember 8 years ago or 9 years ago when it started, it was like 50 or 75 clients. Now it's 700 investors from around the world, 70 companies or 100 companies presenting. I think the optimism about India is actually completely justified.
Well, what do you believe is driving that optimism today?
Modi's been doing a very good job in things like Aadhaar, to get a bank account for 700,000 people, simplifying taxes, trying to open up more for foreign direct investment, the national infrastructure program. But just think of your universities here. So we're not the only bank here. There are lots of the banks with a lot of people, but so is Accenture, McKinsey, and obviously you have your local, Tata, et cetera. So those things are driving optimism. It's not just because of the complications with China. I think that's an opportunity. I think that some of this optimism would have been there anyway.
Follow up on the inclusion into the bond index, and there's all kinds of estimates on what that could mean in terms of inflows into India. Anywhere between $25 to $40 billion is the estimate over the next year and a half as the inclusion works its way out. Typically, what's been the previous experience of a country being included in the bond index? What are the implications in the medium to long term?
Yeah, so our folks think it'll be about $25 billion. It has to be bought, so it gets bought over time. But I think it's a wonderful thing when you index like that, what it means about your capital markets, your rule of law, your transparency, your government financing. The indirect effect is more important. What you want is capital, foreign direct investment, both in plant and equities and things, innovative companies and stuff like that. So it's just one more very positive sign.
Speaking of signs, I want to understand from you what your key takeaways about China at this point in time. You were there in May, and you said that the outlook that you had on China was cautious when you talk about the risk rewards at this point in time. How do you feel about China today, and do you believe that we're done with the unraveling as far as the real estate sector is concerned, or we're far from it?
Yeah, well, I think the far more important, to me, this Ukraine war, oil, gas, food, migration, it's affecting all global relationships, very importantly, the one between America and China. I think America takes it very seriously. I'm not quite sure the rest of the world does. To have a European democratic nation invaded under the threat of nuclear blackmail, and I think there's been a good response, but it's going to affect all of our relationships until somehow the war is resolved. And India is going its own way. They've made their priorities quite clear about national security and what that means. We're still there, and obviously I'm an American patriot, so governments are going to set foreign policy, not JPMorgan. But I'm happy, and I think Americans should stop thinking that China is a 10-foot giant. Our GDP per person is 80,000, theirs is 15. We have all the food, water, and energy we need. We've got the unbelievable benefits of free enterprise and freedom. And they're going to have their own issues, and I'm not making fun of them. They're going to have their own issues about demographics and energy and climate, et cetera. I like the fact that the Americans are engaged with them now.
The pandemic started to wake everybody up, and then Ukraine accelerated this wake-up call, so to speak. What are the long-term implications of what you're seeing play out as foreign policy changes, as national security weighs on economic and government decisions? The U.S. is rolling out the CHIPS Act, for instance. India is trying to partner with the U.S. to ensure that we have a partnership as far as chips are concerned. How do you see this impacting flows? How do you see it impacting globalization moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's just going to change it. So I don't think it's going to, people say decoupling, there's still globalization. The nations are going to have to, companies and nations are going to be making determinations which change those flows. That creates huge opportunity, I think huge opportunity for India, for services and certain manufacturing, and it creates risks. So I'm hoping that political leaders sit down, have these conversations, and make these changes in a way that's not completely disruptive, but is dwarfed by the risk of war and nuclear proliferation and things like that. So I think we have to be very cautious about it, but it's an opportunity for India, and hopefully you're going to seize it. I also think, by the way, it's affecting global relationships. India and America are natural partners. Now you have to be, you're here, so you're between Russia and China, you have to be kind of non-aligned, but we're your best friend. I mean, anyone who doesn't think that through hasn't thought really carefully.
Yes, we can see that. I mean, there's been a lot of back and forth between President Biden and Prime Minister Modi.
And I'm thrilled that they're having those conversations. And I think we've got to do a better job on the trade and investment side.
Okay.
Not just the labor and climate side.
When you say better job on the trade and investment side, what do you mean?
That we should sit down with India and negotiate better trade and investment relationships.
Well, you can catch the full interview with Jamie Dimon, and that's later today. Well, from one big newsmaker to the other, we understand Shireen was in conversation with Sanjeev Puri. This is where Sanjeev Puri had talked about the confidence that he shares in the hospitality business. He further went on to talk about how he's confident that the ROCE, the return on capital employed, will be significantly higher than the industry average. He also spoke of additional investments that the company would be making as far as paperboards is concerned, as well as the FMCG business. Take a look at this engaging conversation with our managing editor.
Listen, this is the first time that we are speaking to you after the hotel demerger announcement. So let's understand where things currently are on track as far as the movement of shares is concerned, as far as the hotel business is concerned. And what's the outlook from here? Because you will continue to hold about 40%. Why did you feel it necessary to do so? And what's the plan now as far as investing in the hotels business is concerned from here on?
So first of all, yes, as far as the process is concerned, it's just started. So, I mean, nothing to say that, nothing much to say, it has just started. It's about a 15 months journey, and we believe it's well on track because we are well prepared for it. As far as the restructuring is concerned, I think, yeah, this 40% issue has actually generated a lot of media interest, though our shareholders were fairly complimentary in the AGM, and I had also occasion to hear the same, compliments from certain institutional investors, because this has been very well thought out. So that fundamentally we must recognize that whatever we do must position the business in a much stronger wicket than what it was before.
Each of the sectors or each of the verticals that you are operating in today, given the growth potential as well as the ability to unlock value, where do you think it would make most sense to consider heading the hotels route? Well,
let's take that when it comes, and where the opportunity is, right? I think it's just right now it'll be a little speculative to think about it.
Okay.
It'll be a little speculative. One has to look at it in the context of the time when it is decided, right? As far as if you were to ask me this question in another way, that within the ITC portfolio, out of our newer businesses, leave aside the traditional businesses, where is the biggest opportunity to create value? Of course, it's on the consumer side.
Right.
That I would say, yes, it's the consumer side has got the maximum potential.
The war chest, if there is one, potentially that you're looking at to be able to take some of these ideas and these trends and build them out and amplify them.
Well, we have been resourcing all our investments in the past, all the brands that we have built. We've built, 25 mega brands at 29,000 crores consumer spend. So we have the resources. I mean, resources is not an issue.
It's not a constraint, yes.
It's not a constraint. I think if at all the constraint is how creative and how well we can execute and how well we can prioritize. I think these are the areas really.
So speaking of prioritization, what is the prioritization going to be now as far as capital allocation is concerned?
So it's going to be, it's going to be more FMCG, and it's going to be more paper boards. Of course, agri is also going to get some bit of it because we are moving into value added. And then generally across businesses, you also have a capex for technology upgradation, replacement, so all of that will come in. So it's going to be FMCG, paper, the major chunk, followed by agri and our traditional business.
Well, you can catch that entire conversation with the ITC chairman, Sanjeev Puri, at 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC-TV18. Well, in other corporate news, Burman Family, Religare's largest financial shareholder, has hiked its stake in the company by as much as 5%. Further, it has announced an open offer worth 2,100 crore rupees to acquire a controlling stake. The group's stake in Religare was at 21.54% as of the 17th of August. The stock fell over 6% in trade today. Well, moving on, here's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Commodity exchange MCX may completely cut its reliance on erstwhile promoter 63 Moon Technologies in running its trading platform. It will go live with its new technology platform, which has been serviced by TCS from the 1st of October. However, SEBI and the MCX board is yet to approve this move. Well, in news now coming in from the national capital, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs is considering more stringent regulations for bigger unlisted companies. Sources say that the move has been triggered by recent irregularities and delays in financial reporting in Bajaj. Shivani Bajaj gets us more. Shivani.
Well, yes, the Company Law Committee, which is the CLC, is discussing the possibility of bringing in rigorous and higher level of regulation for bigger unlisted companies. According to MCA sources, the committee could also consider defining bigger companies in terms of size and turnover. The committee is considering higher levels of regulation for financial reporting for such bigger unlisted companies, including mature startups. Among the regulations that may be brought for such companies is the mandatory submission of quarterly financial statements by these bigger unlisted companies. Sources suggest that this move is triggered by the recent case of irregularities at the edtech startup Bajaj. Recently, former SEBI chair Ajay Tyagi had also asked MCA for a review of corporate governance compliance of mature startups. The tenure of CLC, which was formed in 2019 by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, has been extended by a year now to look at multiple such issues. Currently, the Companies Act amendment is under interministerial discussions.
Right, Shivani, thanks a lot for that. Now, shares of Bajaj Finance rose in early trade after the company announced that it has plans to raise up to $1 billion. Sources told Money Control that Bajaj Finance has also shortlisted 4 investments bank for this deal. The final decision on this deal size will be taken up during a board meeting on the 5th of October. Well, meanwhile, Power Grid Corporation's board has approved raising up to 2,250 crore rupees via bonds. Now, the proceeds are expected to finance Power Grid's capex needs and to provide inter-corporate loans to its wholly owned subsidiaries. The move is a part of the 5,700 crore rupee fundraise plan that the board approved in the month of July of this year. Well, JSW Infra's initial share sale has been subscribed 43% on just day one. Retail investors led the buying 1.38 times the allotted quota. Meanwhile, qualified institutional buyers have subscribed for 3% of the portion reserved, which is around 75% of the 2,800 crore rupee issue. Market analysts say that the grey market premium on the stock is about 18 rupees. Well, the centre has extended the time period for stock limits of Tur and Urad Dal to the 31st of December from the existing deadline of 30th of October. As per a notification released by the government, stock limit for wholesalers as well as retailers has been reduced from 200 metric tons to 50 metric tons. Well, the Commerce Ministry has also launched an anti-dumping probe into the import of fasteners and unframed glass mirrors from China. This comes after Indian producers made representations before the Directorate General of Trade's remedies over the harm caused to the domestic industry due to dumping taking place as far as China is concerned. The DGTR will determine the degree and effect of the dumping and recommend appropriate amount of anti-dumping measures. Well, Apple supplier Pegatron has temporarily halted operations at its iPhone assembly unit in its Chennai plant after a fire broke out. According to a report by Reuters, the fire was caused by a short circuit and no casualties have been reported so far. The company has not informed its workers when the facility will be resuming operations. Well, Amazon is all set to invest $4 billion in an AI startup, Anthropic. This as it steps up its rival Microsoft, Meta, Google and Nvidia in the fast-growing sector. Amazon plans to initially invest a little over $1 billion for a minority stake in Anthropic, which operates an AI-powered text-analyzing chatbot. As a part of the deal, Amazon said that it has an option to increase its investment in Anthropic to a total of $4 billion. Well, as the diplomatic rift between India and Canada widens, Canadian Defence Minister Bill Blair has described the country's relationship with India as significant and crucial, reiterating that the Canadian government will continue to pursue partnership, including the Indo-Pacific strategy. However, in a conversation with a local television channel, Blair also said that Canada has a responsibility to make sure that they conduct a thorough investigation. Meanwhile, sources have told CNBC-TV18 that the Indian government may cancel registration of overseas citizenship of cardholders that are involved in pro-Khalistan activities. CNBC TV18's Abhimanyu Sharma caught up with the Canadian visa applicants and travel agents, and let's hear what they had to say.
There are changes, like apart from the point of view of our clients, like they used to travel to Canada earlier. Now they're more focused on another countries like Australia and New Zealand. There is a delay in the results, like decisions. So earlier they were taking just 1 month to give the decision. Now they are taking a long, like more than 3 months.
Well, coming up on India Business Hour, Hollywood writers strike a tentative deal with major studios. This deal could end the 5-month-long strike by the Writers Guild of America. And you can also catch all CNBC TV18's news and updates on WhatsApp, Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram, and JioCinema. Well, the Road and Transport Ministry plans to set up 90 vehicle scrapping centers in the country. This, according to sources who say that the government wants at least 300 automated vehicle testing centers in India. Sources also say that Union Minister Nitin Gadkari has urged the industry to give 5% discount on scrapping centers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has sounded the poll bugle in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan ahead of the upcoming state elections. While virtually launching the poll campaign in Bhopal, PM Modi likened the Congress party to a rusted piece of iron and alleged that it was being run by urban Naxals. Addressing a rally in Jaipur, the PM said that the Ashok Gehlot-led Congress government in Rajasthan was sympathetic towards terrorists. More political action. Tamil Nadu's AIADMK officially has broken all ties with the ruling National Democratic Alliance ahead of the Lok Sabha elections. The party unanimously passed a resolution to end the alliance with the BJP. AIADMK's Deputy Coordination, KP Munnuswamy, cited ongoing issues with the state leadership of the BJP and remarked against former leaders. The party will lead a separate front in the 2024 general elections. Well, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurated India's mega drone exhibition called the Bharat Drone Shakti 2023 at Uttar Pradesh Hindon Air Base. The two-day event organized by the IAF and Drone Federation has announced 75 drones on static display. Over 50 drones are being showcased in aerial displays, including a drone system that can be transported using motorbikes. Defence Minister formally inducted the C-295 transport aircraft into the Indian Air Force, which will replace the aging Avro fleet. And India clinches 2 gold, 3 silver and 6 bronze medals at the Asian Games. India got its first gold medal in the men's 10-meter air rifle team event, while the women's cricket team beat Sri Lanka to bring home the second gold medal. And Hollywood writers have reached a tentative deal with the entertainment studios after being on strike for nearly 150 days. The Writers Guild of America's negotiation committee did not immediately disclose provisions of this preliminary contract, but referred to the deal as exceptional. Guild members will be voting on this deal over the next few days before calling off the strike. The writers had demanded protection against use of artificial intelligence and an increase in their wages. Well, India has the potential to grow into Netapps' largest market in Asia, as per the CEO, George Kurian. In a chat with my colleague, Shireen Bhan, Kurian said that cloud data services provider wants to achieve this target in the next 5 years. He also outlined Netapps' aspirations for their India business and their plans for chasing the SMB market in the country. Take a look.
The largest institutions in India, the largest public bank, the largest private bank, the top 3 telecom operators. We operate in the public sector where we serve 22 state and of course 20 of the largest departments of the federal government here, national government. And we are growing our business in the small and medium sized part of the market, especially with our our cloud technology, we can serve the huge startup ecosystem in India.
I'll get to the startup ecosystem in just a second, but let's talk about the SMB space, because that's a space that everyone, every cloud service provider is hoping to get a bigger pie of. What is going to be the differentiator? What is going to be the USP? How do you go after that market? What are you going to be leveraging?
We have relationships with the largest cloud providers in the world. We're uniquely positioned with award-winning partnerships with Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. And what we allow them to do is to deploy high-performance applications on their public clouds. And those partnerships have been very successful for us in other parts of the world in bringing on new clients, much smaller companies than we've typically served, in a very efficient way, and we think we can bring the same ideas to the Indian market.
So what's the aspiration, what's the target that you've set for your team here in India in terms of chasing the SMB market?
Well, we've doubled the business over the last 2 years in India, which has been really great. We want to see it double again.
What would the revenue contribution be?
We just want to double the business again in the next couple of years.
How large is the India business today?
It is one of the top 4 countries in the Asian market for us, which Asia is about 20% of our global business. We want to grow it to being perhaps the largest market in Asia. It has the potential to do that.
By
for
when?
us.
The largest market in Asia by when?
Probably 5 years.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of India Business Up. Thank you so much for watching. News and updates will continue right here on CNBC TV 18.